Hello and welcome to the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I'm your host Janine, manifesting maven, lunar ritualist, nature lover, sex magic expert, and empowering confidence and sexuality coach. If you'd like, you can think of me as your witchy bestie who calls you out on your self-deprecating cycles while encouraging you to align with your highest self. And I'm on a mission to help women return to the wisdom of their bodies and embrace their inner power. If you're a woo-woo woman craving more self-love, confidence, fulfillment, and passion in your life, you are in the right place. The Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast is here to help women like you to thrive as your most radiant and happy self. Here you can find inspiration and tools taken from my one-on-one coaching sessions and group experiences to support you in your journey. We'll cover things like societal conditioning, inner child healing, pleasure practices, manifestation techniques, approachable rituals, and all around women's empowerment. My goal is to shift your perspective and give you actionable takeaways so you can walk away from these episodes feeling inspired to create a life that ignites your soul. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful that we're able to connect in this way, and I can't wait to dig into the contents of this episode with you. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode inside the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. Today I am sharing about a topic near and dear to my heart, one that I work with and practice on pretty much a daily basis, and that is sexual energy transmutation, or sex magic, which is a particular flavor of sexual energy transmutation as a whole. This is, to me, something that is a part of our superpowers as a woman, as a feminine being. And that said, men definitely are able to tap into this. I just think it holds this extra potency for women, for feminine beings, as we are creators. We create life, and that same sexual energy that creates life also creates so many different things throughout our world, throughout our space, throughout our lives. And this can be business projects, creative endeavors, our artistic expression, the way we really express ourselves authentically, and the way we create homes and beautiful spaces to raise our family, the way we create these different works of art that inspire others, the way we are able to lead ourselves to create our bodies of work, which also leads others, inspires others to really live their best life in whatever flavor it is that you do that. And so I'm going to get into this powerful tool and what it's all about, where this comes from, what it's rooted in, and then give you a few different practices that you're actually able to use within your life, whether that is setting the foundation with really being able to connect with your energy and your body, and then moving through into sex magic, which is essentially using this incredible power within you from pleasure, from desire, from creation, and using that for personal development, for creating different things, for your personal empowerment, and putting that together within a practice that is very potent and juicy and can really quantum leap your embodiment of having this thing. And I have personally used this to manifest all different things, including the way my relationship is, the way our family life is. I've straight up won a tattoo. If you're watching video, you can see it on my arm. I completely won this tattoo very unexpectedly, just days after doing a sex magic practice. I have had sales pop in just hours after, matching the exact visualization that I held in this practice for something I hadn't actively sold in months and months and months. And outside of that specific practice, those different foundational pieces and practices you can weave in really support you in the embodiment of who you are becoming. I truly feel like sexual energy transmutation is a way of holding ourselves within our queen energy, of really tapping into our inner power that is innately within us. And it is accessible to all of us. We don't need all of these neat tools or all of these different things. We just need to tap into what is already there. And we have this incredible power to create massive shifts in our life and to manifest things into the 3D realm through working with our sexual energy and sexual energy transmutation. So that is what we are digging into today. And so I think, as you can tell from that beginning introduction, sexual energy is not just about pleasure in the bedroom. Yes, that is a very fun, welcome part of it all. But our sexual energy is also our essential life force. It connects us to our vitality, our creativity, our overall well-being, our emotional fluidity, the way we connect with other people. It is this energy that flows through our body, and the more we are tapped into it, it really is this like wellspring of energy that we are able to create this sense of overflow that pours into all different areas of our life. That is why I'm so passionate about this being the particular lens for personal development through sexual empowerment, because it creates for me the biggest shifts. Like I say time and time again, the greatest transformation comes through the taboo, and there is an actual physical, proven scientific side to it, that our sexual energy, or our kundalini energy, is this untapped energy that is kind of asleep within our root and can be awakened through the alignment of ourselves and our chakras, and really alignment into our authenticity. And as we are able to bring our body and our energy body into alignment, we are able to awaken this Kundalini energy, which Joe Dispenza explains it very well in his book, Becoming Supernatural. And that awakening this energy, this fluid in the base of our spine, and it actually shoots up into our pituitary gland, or our third eye, and it expands our electromagnetism. We are electromagnetic beings, and this all ties into the law of attraction and the way we attract people, places, things, and experiences into our life, and the way we are able to interact with the earth, with other beings around us. So many creatures on this earth, like bees, can sense the electromagnetic levels from a flower, whether it has been pollinated or not. So there are all these different ways of measuring this energy, this electromagnetism, that we might not necessarily be personally aware of or can personally see. And that said, it fully exists. And this is something we are able to tap into. And again, it can sound kind of weird, kind of out there, woo-woo concept. And it is rooted in, and it has now been scientifically proven. As I said, Joe Dispenza in his book, he does a great job. I love his like masculine analytical way of explaining the mystical, and how he has gone to the lengths of really bringing in different forms of technology and different ways of measuring these things to be able to show you how real it truly is, and how we can measure these shifts in our electromagnetism, and how we can create better health, better lives, better experiences and relationships through work like this. And sexual transmutation is a certain flavor of how we can do this. And so this sexual energy, this life force energy, is recognized across many different cultures. It's referred to as prana in India, chi by the Chinese, and Taoism, and ki by the Japanese. And I will get more into the history in just a bit, but I just want to really put out there that the sexual energy, that a woman's sexuality, it's not just about seducing a man or in experiencing pleasure with a partner. It's really about our own feminine creative power and being able to harness that and use that not only for our good, but for the greatest good of the collective. And when we are able to tap into this wellspring of energy, it's like discovering a secret treasure chest that lies within us, a source of boundless power and transformation that we can, again, really harness for not only the greatest good and transformation of ourselves and our family, but that of the entire collective, and really leading the way from us first. Unfortunately, sexual energy often is not looked through with this kind of lens that I like to really put forward and inspire all of you with. Sexual energy has actually been quite suppressed. It is weighed down and has all of these layers of shame and disempowerment that really separate us from our power. And I'm sure I've mentioned it in other episodes, but one of the best perspective shifts, those who really have that Catholic shaming upbringing, and again, this can go across religions and cultures and have different flavors, not necessarily just Catholicism, but that deeply ingrained shame and disempowerment around sexuality. You can really shift that perspective by seeing the goodness in this life force energy that is a part of all of us, and that truly creates life on this earth, that unites families and really brings us together from this place of deep connection and love and vulnerability. And through that, we are able to create all different things. And so when we are able to really recognize the potency of our sexual energy, the power of working within this realm of sexual empowerment and sexual energy transmutation, we can really see its transformative potential. And we are able to really connect ourselves with our inner power instead of being in that state of disconnection with all of those layers of shame and disempowerment layered on. And when we are able to really tap into this potential, we can learn about all the different forms of sexual energy transmutation, which there are many. So I'd say there are like two main umbrellas of sexual energy transmutation, and then there are other practices underneath those umbrellas. So one umbrella of sexual energy transmutation is sexual celibacy. And so this is consciously choosing to abstain from physical intimacy and instead directing that potent sexual energy, that turn on inwards, and using it to create momentum in other work. So this could be igniting our spiritual and emotional selves in ways we didn't think possible, really pouring ourselves into our work. So this form of sexual celibacy and sexual energy transmutation can be seen across many different industries in today's world. It is in the book Think and Grow Rich. I believe Napoleon Hill talks about, I need to revisit this chapter, But I believe he talks about having that like hot secretary and using that turn on that you get from that secretary to pour into your work. So abstaining from any kind of sexual relationship with them, but still taking that turn on, taking that horniness and pouring it into that work. Now, you also see athletes talking about this and abstaining from sex leading up to big games, big tournaments, different things like that. And so it's taking that sexual energy, that buildup, keeping it inwards within yourself, and then pouring that into the game, the big event, whatever it may be. So that is one umbrella of sexual energy transmutation. And then there is sexual expression, which is what I will really be kind of working with for the most part throughout this episode and going even deeper into. And so that's where we're able to really build that pleasure, that turn on, and build that sexual energy more and more through physical touch, through energy, through partnered experiences or solo experiences, and using that sexual energy for your own personal nourishment, for your growth, for your empowerment, and for manifestation, which is where that sex magic really comes into, is using that sexual energy for manifestation. And there are different things you can do with it. I will share a practice that I'm sure I have shared here a few times, but it's really using that sexual energy for your own nourishment. It is, again, this incredible tool that is accessible to all of us. And it really nourishes you on a deep, deep level compared to most other forms of self-care. I practiced it just last night at the time of recording this. I was feeling kind of like blah and tired, a bit run down after a big, fun, amazing lake weekend. And I knew I wanted to still maintain my personal practice, my embodiment, and I know how much this impacts me. And so I came from a place of exploration without expectation and just saw where it took me, and was able to, even though I felt tired at the beginning, was able to get into my body, to move my body, to build that sexual energy, and then through building it, using it to nourish my bones and my blood and my cells, and to also, while fully open and online in that high state of pleasure, be able to bring in certain affirmations and beliefs and rewire my system with those, because that is an incredible, powerful tool that we're also able to do from this state of opened up pleasure with sexual energy transmutation, really alchemizing this in different ways. And that is, again, a part of our innate inner power of how we can rewire our belief systems from the state of pleasure. And all of this isn't just some new age fad. I know I've seen sex magic talked about more and more over recent years, so it might seem like this new thing, but it really isn't. It dates back to, if you're looking at Tantra and Taoism, which is what my training is in, it dates back to kind of somewhere around 400 to 600 BCE. And so this is long before the birth of Jesus. These ancient texts have talked about our sexual energy, about sexual energy transmutation. And you can see it in other traditions as well. Kabbalah sees sexual desire as the deepest spiritual expression one can have. In yogic and tantric philosophy, this is where we tap into that kundalini energy and how our sexual energy lies dormant until awakened into its highest form. And that's how we really become these very magnetic, radiant beings, aligned with our authentic selves, aligned with our greatest truth, our greatest love, our best health, our best energetic health. Now, you can also see different psychologists talk about this as well. Sex magic can be connected to Carl Jung's notion of sexual alchemy, which is similar to Freud's sexual sublimation. So there are many different places around the world throughout many different timelines that have used sexual energy and sexual energy transmutation for alchemy, for our personal development, for manifestation. And I personally believe there's so much power in this ancient wisdom. Modern society has gone so far away from what I see as our natural ways of being. The way we are truly meant to live in alignment with ourselves, in alignment with others and community and with Mother Earth, and having this deeply connected place of coming from love and gratitude and being able to all be our best for who we are, whether or not we agree or not. And it's not from this place of scarcity and greed and pushing ourselves and hustle culture and all of these different things. These ancient teachings really show us a way of coming back home to ourselves and to the way we can really live life to its fullest without the need of outside stuff, of consuming, of just knowing we have our inner power. We have our way of relating with others, of connecting with spirit, all within ourselves, of feeling confident and connected and healthy without the need to consume to look for outside answers. And this ancient knowledge and wisdom really teaches us that one of these tools that we all have available for us is sexual energy transmutation. And it's not this bad, scary thing that we need to close up our shutters and say how wrong it is and burn the witch talking about it and things like that. It really is just a way of accessing what I think our bodies are really meant and created to do. And so I will share a few practices and techniques for sexual energy transmutation. Again, like I said at the beginning, really creating that foundation for being able to do some of these deeper practices, and then some of the more involved practices and rituals like sex magic. So starting off is just having a mindfulness practice rooted in self-love, because working with our sexual energy really requires this foundation of connecting with our body, connecting with our energy body from this deep state of love. And if we have a lot of shame and disempowerment and self-criticism and guilt and all of these different layers on our body, on our energy, on our sexual energy, we're not coming from a state of alignment. And so if we were able to have some mindfulness practices that really help us connect to that state of self-love, that helps bring us into more alignment with our authentic, unapologetic selves, and also supports us in being able to tap in to our body, into our energy bodies. So I do have a few different meditations available through the unapologetic practices. I have a free honeypot meditation, which I will leave linked in the show notes, which is incredible for connecting with your sexual organs and really building this state of connection and rewiring your body and your nervous system to connect your sexuality and those sexual organs with whatever feelings and beliefs you want to have. So rather than that inherited shame and guilt, perhaps you want to connect with your sexual energy from a place of radiance and sensuality and confidence, perhaps a little bit of sassiness or playfulness mixed in. And so this meditation really walks you through doing this with a very juicy visualization, using some golden honey and a honey pot and putting those sensual, radiant, confident ingredients into that honey and pouring it all over your body and sexual organs, and really pulling in these beliefs into your body, into your nervous system. And it is so juicy, so amazing, and great for creating that foundation for sexual energy transmutation, with really rooting yourself with acceptance and self-love. So again, I will link that in the show notes. My quantum energy manifestation meditation, which again is a part of the unapologetic practices, which has a free 14-day trial, is another one that really helps connect you with your energy body to be able to come from that magnetic state for manifesting. This one does not tap into sex magic. It has a different flavor, which is still activated, which is still connected to your energy body. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you are curious, but perhaps don't feel ready to go all into the sex magic. It is one of my favorite meditations that I do on a regular basis to really help you in the embodiment of the person who has that which you desire, to be able to hold yourself as them, to see yourself as this person, and to make decisions as this person, really calling in that desired reality from that deeply rooted place of embodiment. Then you can also play around with sexual energy transmutation for creative expression. So this can be from that place of celibacy, or you can perhaps build some of that turn on with yourself and channel that turn on, that horniness, into your creative projects. So before you sit down to perhaps make a piece of content or start with this particular art project that you're doing, or whatever it might be, I encourage you to tap in to your sexual energy, into your turn on. Allow yourself to build it up a little bit. Perhaps tapping into dance, movement, breath, touching to help build that energy, and then pour it into whatever project you have, whatever you are really wanting to create with this energy. Another practice is genital breathing. So again, I have I believe 2 different guided practices for this inside Unapologetic Practices collection with that free 14-day trial. So you can pop in, check it out, try it on, see what you think. And genital breathing is really foundational for connecting with your breath and your body. And the kind of foundational practices within Tantra, within working with your energy and working with your sexual energy, being able to expand into different pleasurable states, being able to expand your consciousness through these states, are breath, sound, and movement. And so genital breathing really helps you begin to incorporate these 3 different things. It can feel a little tricky, a little clunky at first. And then as you are able to have this practice with yourself through genital breathing, through yoni breathing, you can then sprinkle that into your different partnered experiences to be able to expand pleasure. And so breath with genital breathing is really using your breath and breathing into your yoni, building that connection through your breath. And over time, you will begin to feel more and more sensation into the space, into your yoni. Now, you may have different blocks. I have a particular client who had some birth trauma, and straight across her C-section, there was a wall. And it was very hard for her to connect with her yoni space and to feel those sensations again. And genital breathing, yoni breathing, is the foundational practice. Of course, there's more we did with our coaching, but it is what really helped her reconnect with her yoni, be able to move through those blocks and to feel alive there again. Now, movement is really just moving your body in whatever way feels intuitive and good and juicy for you as you breathe, as you focus on your yoni and on your sensations. And then sounding is just letting any sounds come through you that feel natural, that are intuitively coming up, and that generally starts with sighs and moans, and allowing it to, again, really move through you in whatever way feels natural. Now, it might feel kind of weird at first, but the more you work with it, the more it will flow through you. And each of these things allow your pleasure, allow your connection to your energy body expand that much more. And so you can try this on your own, or again, I welcome you to try them out through the Unapologetic Practices collection with that free 14-day trial. Then the last two practices are ones I touched on in this episode. So one is using your pleasure as nourishment. And I actually have a whole 5-day mini course in Unapologetic Practices that goes more in depth into this. But breaking it down is using that sexual energy. So one of my favorite ways of doing this, and I used to do it with every single partnered and solo sexual experience. Now I have a different flavor I'm playing with that I touch on in one of the new season 3 episodes with Dominique DeVita from Yes Tantra. So stay tuned for that. Season 3 coming next week. So excited. I have a big launch coming up. Get on the wait list. I will include that in the show notes as well. We have a ton of great guest episodes lined up. This season is going to be more unapologetic than ever. And I'm kicking things off next Thursday, August 22nd, with a free masterclass around embodying your unapologetic authenticity. We have like $1,800 in prizes, which is awesome. We're going to have a dance party. It's like no other masterclass. It's going to be a lot of fun. And from this big season 3 launch, one of the episodes there, Dominique DeVita talks about a different flavor of sexual energy transmutation to really help awaken that Kundalini energy. So I will save that gold nugget for that episode. So be on the lookout for that. But the way you can use your sexual energy for nourishment, like how I've used it every single day for years, is using that highest buildup of sexual energy, whether that is with an orgasm or not, or after or before. And then rather than going poof outward and gone, which can be very depleting and having that energy just escape out of you, you actually pull that energy in and you swirl it around your body, sending it to nourish your bones, your blood, and your cells. Really sitting there in it, tapping into this energy, feeling it, and allowing it to penetrate deeply into your body wherever it needs it to nourish yourself from the inside out. And I'm sure, as you can just hear from me walking you through that, this is going to nourish you and replenish you on an entirely different level than pretty much any other self-care recommendation. Yes, you can have this great beauty routine with a face massage, which I love, do that face mask, whatever it is, and incorporate this into it, because that is very surface level and it feels great. And once you're done, you might feel a little bit relaxed, and then that's about it. Where with using your pleasure as nourishment, it really does nourish you from the inside out. You are going to wake up feeling different. The more and more you do it, you are going to shift your energetic state. You're going to be able to really tap into that vitality, that magnetism, and radiate it from the inside out. And I do actually incorporate this at the end of many of the different meditations that I walk clients through and that are included in that Unapologetic Practices collection. Now, finally, the fifth practice and technique that I'm going to share with you is sex magic, which is, I'd say, one of my favorites. I love it. I incorporate this pretty much every day in a different flavor. And that is using your sexual energy for manifestation. And this can start out quite small, not necessarily through any sexual act, and can move into the bigger, deeper ritual of a full practice with that sexual act, whether solo or partnered. And basically what you're doing is using your turn on, using that buildup of sexual energy, incorporating that breath, that sound, that movement with the embodiment of your manifestation. So that is why I've kind of laid out these different practices in the way I have. Because if you're just hopping into sex magic, it's going to feel like there's way too many moving parts to be able to focus on what you need to focus on. And so if you start out with things like genital breathing, to be able to learn to use your sound, your breath, your movement while focusing on building your sexual energy and feeling those sensations. And then you combine that with something like the quantum energy manifestation meditation, where you are able to really tap into the embodiment of the version of you that has that which you desire. And that includes bringing yourself into a full five senses reality, where you can look around, you see yourself in this reality. You feel yourself in it, not only the emotions that come from within, but also the feelings you might notice in an external way. What is the temperature on your skin? What do you feel beneath you or touching your arms? What do you hear around you? What do you smell? What do you taste? And so you really pull yourself into this reality, which again takes practice to be able to tap into those five senses and that full embodiment. It's not going to come natural to everyone. I know even myself, I could not visualize shit for a very long time. And it wasn't through doing these practices that I was able to awaken that within me. I think I had it when I was younger, and through childhood trauma, I blocked that out. And I was not able to visualize anything. I could feel it, but I could not see it. And these practices help awaken that ability within you if they are lying dormant. I do personally believe they're there for everyone. There are certain labels that can be attached towards people who can't visualize. I want to say it's Fantasia, but that doesn't feel right. But if you Google it, you can see that there is a label. Lots of people can't visualize. And my personal belief is that it's just dormant within them. And it can be awakened through practices like this. And so being able to have that practice like the quantum energy manifestation meditation, where you are able to bring all of those senses online with that embodiment of having that desired reality, and then combine that with the breath, with the sound, with the movement, and moving your energy through your different chakras, you are able to take this visualization, shoot it out into the universe, and then slowly pull it back down, really bringing in this visualization into the 3D world, becoming the woman that has that which you desire, really cementing it into the here and now. And it is a very powerful practice. As I touched on at the beginning, I have manifested so many different things from this practice. I even manifested like a house a little bit too soon. I had to pump the brakes and stop visualizing that because we weren't ready with the other concrete actions that we needed to take in order to make that jump. And it was kind of manifesting something that didn't quite feel right for us. But it still popped up super fast, and we had to be like, oh, let's come from this place of alignment. Is this really what we want right now? And so it is very potent. So be very intentional with what you are using this for. And with the sex magic practice, I believe there's 2 in the Unapologetic Practices collection. I also have a recorded in the Guided by Glow erotic meditation app for it as well. I walk you through a few different things just to make sure that you are bringing the right energy into this practice, that you are coming from a place of alignment, that this desire, this manifestation is in alignment with the greatest good of the collective and not just your own personal gain. Because it's so potent, I believe it's very important to make sure these other things are lined up, because things happen when you channel this sexual energy and use your magnetism to attract this and to co-create with the universe. I am also here if you have any questions. And again, I walk you through that within the Unapologetic Practices collection, but it is so much fun. And you can have those mini practices where you're kind of using some Kegels to boost that energy. I do a bit of a full practice in the guest podcast episode when I was on Kayla Gagnon's Reclaimed podcast. I will link it in the show notes. I actually walk you through one of the mini practices that just kind of gets that energy pumping and then brings you into that embodiment, circulating that energy. And I will do that on a regular basis in the mornings. I won't say every day, but it's probably 4 or 5 days out of the week that I do it. And I think that is a big reason why I notice such big shifts in my life. That is why I'm able to hold myself in my queen energy in such a deeply rooted, embodied way, rather than wishing for it, mentally thinking about how I want to be. You are able to truly embody it from that deeply rooted way of just cementing that energy into your being in the 3D world. And so that is it for now. This was so much fun to share this with you. I have wanted to share this episode for quite a long time. So I'm happy to bring it to you again. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at janine.mckinnon or an email to info@janinemckinnon.com. Share this episode with your besties, with those that love manifestation, would love to put another flavor on it. And I just want to remind you that you have the power as a woman to really use tools like these to embody your queen energy, to use your creative superpowers of your erotic, feminine, sensual energy to be able to create in this world. You don't need any outside sources. You have the power within you. So thank you for listening, and I can't wait to chat with you next week for episode 50 and season 3 of the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. Get ready to buckle up and be more unapologetic than ever. I will talk to you then. Thank you for joining us inside the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you feel called, I would so appreciate it if you shared about this episode in your stories or left us a review to help us reach more women on their unapologetic journey. As a thank you for your support, you'll be entered into our monthly draw for a free coaching session. Just tag at Janine.McKinnon in your story shares, or leave the rating or review, screenshot it, and email to Janine@unapologeticmotherhood.com to be entered. One lucky winner is selected every month for a focused coaching session to support you in working towards your current desires. Until next time, trust your inner wisdom and create some magic.